Maps I find crazy. Americans were asked to point to Iran on a map. Oh, this is interesting. So 28% of people managed to successfully identify which country was Iran. In all fairness to the Americans asked, internationally, it's not a super well-known country, but I will say there are some dreadful guesses here. Like, look at all the people that clicked on India. Look at all the people that clicked France. A few people clicked the United Kingdom. Surely they were messing about. A concerning number of people clicked Russia, which is pretty dreadful. Lots of people clicked Iraq. That one I can understand. Argentina's official map. Oh, here we go. So it's every piece of land claimed by Argentina. So they've got actual Argentina, then a few islands knocking about, and then a big slice of Antarctica. I'm more than happy with Argentina claiming this bit of Antarctica. Look at it. It's like they're reaching out trying to hold hands with each other. How cute. A map of every American city. So there'll be a monstrous highway, interstate, super freeway, a dopey roadside attraction, a mega church and a mega supermarket, loads of pizzas and bars, and then a historic building that was established 1965. Did you know there is a part of Italy completely surrounded by Switzerland? No, I actually had no idea Italy had any exclave. So it's called Caponi d'Italia, but apparently before 1929 it was just called Caponi. But then Mussolini renamed it d'Italia on the end, so that there was no doubt how Italian Caponi d'Italia was. By the way, just a quick reminder before we look at the next map, the JackSucksAtGeography merch has got about 6 days before it is gone forever. Link in the description. Really cool design on the back. We've got t-shirts, black, white, sweaters, hoodies, and we've even added youth sizes as well. jmw.world. Thanks everyone. Whoa, European countries where Jews were allowed to exist in 1500. This is something I know embarrassingly little about. I'm assuming it's because these were Christian states, but apparently Jews were banned in England, France, Portugal, Castile, Aragon. They were permitted in the Roman and Ottoman empires, totally banned in Lithuania, and then no record of anything going on in these other countries. Fertility rates in Europe. So this is suggesting that in the UK, women generally have about 1 to 2 children, which sounds about right. I think that is getting lower as people realize that children are a bit gross. But you can see fertility rates are much higher in Turkey, where it's more like having 2 to 4 children. Interesting how low it is in Finland compared to neighboring countries like Sweden. Also interesting to see the low fertility rates around the Mediterranean there too. Poverty in South America. So in 2012, Argentina and Chile were doing okay, whereas now in 2022, 36% of Argentinians are now in poverty. That is absolutely terrible. Also really sad to see that Venezuela's gone from 29% to 90%. Once again, as a privileged white British person, I don't hear about any of this stuff. Where the death penalty survives around the world. Interesting phrasing. The death penalty is legal in a surprising number of countries. I didn't realize that. Most of Asia and Africa still allow and use the death penalty. Quite interesting seeing the number of countries where it's technically allowed but not really used anymore, such as Russia and Papua New Guinea. In some countries like Brazil and Kazakhstan, it's illegal but with exceptions for particularly bad people, I assume. And then also in basically all of Europe plus a few Commonwealth countries, it is totally illegal, which I think is the right move, maybe, but I understand why some people would disagree. Greater Tokyo versus Greater London. Whoa. That really puts things into scale because I think London's massive, and then you see that and it's not massive at all. Greater Tokyo is literally on top of my house right now while still teetering around London. Look at that. Number of people born in the given country currently living abroad as a percentage of the current population. Okay, so this is saying of the 100% of people that were born in the UK, 7.6% of them are currently living in another country. So this is a really interesting map. There's going to be so many different reasons for this. You can see in Ireland it's really high, 18%, with my assumption being that people have moved to the US and the UK for work reasons. Then it's really low in nice countries like Spain and France and Sweden, because the countries are so nice and pretty. Why would you want to go anywhere else? And then you can see a lot of people migrating in these Balkan countries, presumably because the government has made them not particularly nice places to live, which is sad. Same with areas like Ukraine and Belarus, etc. I made this height map of the population density around the Nile River using a 3D printer and a laser cutter. That is epic. Look at that from above. Yeah, Egypt's population density just follows the Nile, and then because it's just desert everywhere else, there's not really anyone kicking about. It's amazing to see that a 3D printer made this though. Look at that. That's really, really cool. I'm assuming the spiky bits are Alexandria and Cairo. Yep, that's fact checked. Good. Place names you would laugh at when you were 8. Cockermouth! Cockermouth's not that weird to me because I'd been to Cockermouth many times throughout my childhood because it wasn't that far away. And I also lived near somewhere called Cockfield as well. It's all quite normal. You don't want to live there, I will be honest. We've also got Homo and Dingle, which I think are my favourites. Any other good ones? Haha, brah. Gay. I can't just laugh at the word gay, can I? It's just the fact that it's like I was sat away from the others. Whoa, this looks dramatic. During the Mayan interglacial, which was 130,000 years ago, average annual global temperatures were about 3 degrees higher than today. The associated rise in sea level connected the Baltic and White Seas, making Scandinavia an island. Oh, they're totally separated. Isn't that epic thinking about the kind of people who were knocking about back then, like chopping trees and stuff? How Greenland looks in 10 different projections. Most common map projection is, of course, the Mercator projection, and that is very recognizable Greenland. But all of these others, he's getting stretched all over the place, bless him. Greenland's in an awkward spot, though. They're right up the top. Australia latitude in perspective. What am I looking at there? Right, that's an upside-down Australia and an upside-down Papua New Guinea, so it must be the other side of the world. So USA is here, and then this would be where Australia would be. Don't know why, I just had an urge to start squeezing that. It's a really insightful map, and I feel I've really lowered the tone. I'm sorry about that. Europe light map. So beautiful. So interesting seeing the big bursts of light in each capital city. Tell you what, though. Italy and Belgium. You need to turn your lights off, guys. Why is there so many lights? Whoa, a useful world map for whales and dolphins. What about sharks? People are mean to sharks, and they're really cool. This is really interesting to visualize, though. This area of South America is just not recognizable from this angle. Africa obviously looks exactly the same, but then North America also looks really weird. It really puts into perspective how massive the oceans are. Number of boars, as in like wild pigs, I assume, per kilometer squared versus the Polish presidential election results. Why do they correlate so well? How are they linked? I've looked through the comments, and this is the best guess that people have got. Boars live in forests. Forests are more likely to be in rural areas rather than urban, and rural areas are more likely to be conservative and vote for a particular party. Yeah, that makes sense. Mayans still exist. Here is a map showing the distribution of Mayan languages. Where are we here? Is this the bottom of Mexico? Yes, it is. Wow, that's really interesting. Balkans in 1354. That is a long time ago, and that it just puts into perspective how old some of the countries are. Hungary and Serbia and Bulgaria still just kicking about. Naples is still called Naples, but obviously these days it's part of Italy. Same with Venice. And then we've got Ottoman Empire creeping into Italy. This is really interesting. Even Moldavia looks to be the same shape as modern-day Moldova. Wow, this is fascinating. Map of a not yet fully discovered Australia, 1659. So they literally didn't know how to finish off the drawing because they hadn't been there yet. That's mental to think about. Interesting they got this bit down here done though, isn't it? A map of the world made by time zones. This is really interesting. I love seeing like specific outlines of countries such as India and Argentina over here. And then you've got these weird shapes over in the Pacific Ocean, I think caused by Kiribati changing time zones. Do you know what? I'd have this framed. It would look epic. Looking at this map, it's clear that China being only one time zone really doesn't make that much sense because it spreads across what should effectively be 4 different time zones. So it's going to be very dark, very early for a lot of the population. And on that note, I'm going to end the video. We're probably pretty close to 1 million subscribers right now, so I want to say thank you very much. If you have not yet subscribed and you want to tip me over the edge, please do that. Do not forget about the geography merch, literally 5 days before it's gone forever. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.